Now.
Hey guys, my name is Becky with All Aspects Restored and Recycled in Mount Bethel, Pennsylvania. And we decided to do a live today on using the Wise Owl Glaze as a stain, because last week we posted a video on our Facebook page on how you could use the glaze as a stain, and we've had so many inquiries. So since I'm literally getting ready to do it again, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love the look. So since we're getting ready to do it, we thought we'd go live and show you what exactly we're gonna do. This is the piece that we actually posted yesterday on our Facebook page when I got it. The top was really dinged and dinged up and had broken wheels, and it was really scratched and gouged and broken hardware. So what I did is I completely sanded down the top and sanded the drawers, and these are going to have two doors that'll go here, and those got sanded as well. We get asked a lot if you have to fully sand and strip a piece in order to paint it with the Wise Owl paint, and you don't. So I did not strip the area that I painted here, and if you can't see in the video, this is Wise Owl's black. It's had one coat so far. It has awesome coverage, so this is just with one coat, so this will actually get a second coat of paint before it's sealed. But going back to the stripping part, I did strip down the top and the drawers and the doors, and the reason why is because I want to get the full effect of what a stain would look like. So with the glaze, just to better explain it, the glaze can be used in multiple different ways. It's one of my favorite Wise Owl products to use. You could paint the entire piece and then use the glaze over top of the paint. Usually you want to wait about 24 hours. There's literally a fly driving me nuts, so my eyes are all over the place. It's literally as we're doing this. So if we were using the glaze on top of paint, you'd apply your two coats of paint, and then you use your glaze after about 24 hours, just so your paint has some time to cure. In this case, I sanded this down. How I did it, I used an 80 grit sandpaper. I actually used an orbital sander. They're relatively inexpensive, honestly. If you find them in your husband's garage, probably. An orbital is easy enough to use. It took me honestly probably about 20 minutes to sand down the top and do the drawers. So I used the 80 grit, then I went over it again with 150 grit, 220, and then I just used 320 with my hands, and it just allowed a really, really smooth surface. The key, if you don't have an orbital, you could do it by hand. It's just a little bit more time consuming. The key with doing any kind of painting project or even using the glaze is you want to make sure that you have a really clean surface. So after I sanded it, I went over it and cleaned it with TSP, trisodium phosphate, and we actually also on our Facebook page have a video on prepping your pieces. Okay, so just to kind of get to it, what I'm going to use is the glaze, and I have that here. I cheated. I put a little bit in a little jar because I tend to be a little messy, and this is a neat, organized way of using it. Other than that, I'm going to use my Klingon brush here to be able to apply the glaze, and then I have shop towels that I'll use to wipe it off. Okay. When we use it as a stain, the thing with the glaze is that it does dry relatively fast, so your work time is really 30 to 60 seconds. So with this piece probably being, maybe 18, 20 inches wide, what I'll do is I'm going to apply the glaze in the first half, then I'll want to wipe it down. We'll overlap it a little bit, and then we'll wipe that down. Depending on the look, this is a really cool tiger oak, but depending on the look that it gives, most likely I'm going to give it 2 coats of glaze. So in the time that we do this, I'll show you how I apply one, and then I'll let it dry for about 2 hours, and then I'll go back and give it a second coat, and that way, just like stain, if you more coats you do, it's just going to make it just a shade darker. Okay? So my Wise Owl brush is just slightly damp, and honestly, guys, it's really super simple. You're literally painting it on. Okay, so I just love the look of wood with paint. It does, like I said, it dries relatively fast, so you don't want to go over it too much. I'm just kind of going back and forth. This is, I didn't even say, this is Wise Owl's Dark Walnut Glaze. Sorry, I didn't mention that at the beginning. There are 19 different glazes. I believe it's still 19. And they're including the metallics. And these glazes, you know, like we were saying, they can be used as a stain. They can be used to highlight areas on your piece. You could have painted this and then gone back over it, you know, with glaze after the paint dries to add dimension. If you have your piece has a lot of detail, you can paint it and then go into the detail with the glaze. It's just a really great way of adding a little dimension. And then can you see like the difference? I just love the way it looks. So that that oak green is really kind of pulling through, but yet this dark walnut is just a little bit deeper and darker, and then mixed with the black paint just kind of modernizes this piece where we're taking something that was, you know, probably in the back of someone's garage or basement unused, and now we're kind of giving it a new look so it has a new purpose. And we'll do the glaze on both the two drawers of this piece as well as the top and then the two doors. So I don't go backwards, I just kind of go back and forth with it. The brush I'm using is an R60. Oh my gosh, this brush is very loved. Most likely it's an R16 round Klingon. I like the Klingon brushes because they're comfortable on my hands. I've been in the shop and I've kind of given you my experience before. I have neuropathy really bad. I've had Lyme's disease, and my hands lock up and get a little bit numb. And the brushes, these Klingon brushes for me are very comfortable. And on top of that, you know, I love the way the paint and the glaze just kind of sit in the top of them and just dispenses just beautifully. So I'm a huge fan of these brushes. Just kind of going back and forth. And like I said, we'll let this dry for about 2 hours. You know what? I'm getting excited, but I didn't really wipe any off. Let me kind of go. I can show you. I applied it. I'm gonna wipe it off. So we'll take this off, and then we'll do the second half, and then it'll dry for 2 hours, and then it'll definitely get a second coat.
So I'm just pointing out, as you wipe it off, you're going in one smooth motion. You're not going back and forth. You're going from one side all the way to the other.
That voice is Robin. She's helping keeping me on track. Absolutely. Always go in the direction. You know, and what we do here is, you know, this is through my experience, through what I do, and, you know, through trial and error. And so when I sand it, I follow the grain. When I paint, I tend to follow the grain. Glazing, staining, follow the grain. Okay, now I'm just going to do a slight overlap, not too much. Try to get as close as you can. And the reason we just kind of take it off, you know, I like to work in small sections, and you know, you don't want, when you take it off, this area to be a lot more dry than the back area. So this way we take some of it off, wipe away. Now the glaze is incredibly durable, very strong, it leaves a very strong finish. However, you really should seal it. So the Wise Owl does recommend that that you do seal any kind of glaze piece when after you're finished with it. So whether you are painting and then you're using the glaze, or we're using the glaze as a stain, it does need to be sealed. And so what we're gonna do is that after this piece is finished, we're actually gonna do a video, and I'll do varnish. So we haven't posted a video yet of how to use the Wise Owl varnish. So this piece will get a second coat, then it'll dry for 24 hours. That tends to be my magic number with letting things have a little bit of time to cure. So we'll let it dry for 24 hours, and then we'll apply the varnish, and it'll get 2 coats. Wise Owl has both a matte and a satin varnish, and honestly I just love them both. I just think that the look of this piece probably best suits the matte varnish. So you'll have to stay tuned and see what the piece looks like after it's fully painted with 2 coats and has the drawers and everything all stained as well. I guess I probably should say that you probably should wear gloves when you do this. I work with my hands so often and never seem to go get a manicure, so.
But it is water-based.
It is water-based. Thanks, Robin. What else did I forget? Absolutely water-based. That's why you can use it over the paint without a problem, and because they're water-based, and the same with the varnish, which is water-based. I seriously love the way the top of that looks. Can you
So
see
if
it?
you wanted to, instead of putting 2 coats of the black walnut, could you add a different color?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. Somebody actually asked that on our page, if you've glazed it, so say you've glazed it and then you want to add paint, just because maybe you don't like it or you want to add more dimension, you can. It's all water-based, so you can mix and match and you goof up. If say we did this and we really didn't like it, do you have to strip the whole thing down? No, you could go and paint it. Same thing where I wanted the look of the wood grain with the black, but there's also a black glaze. We wanted it a little bit darker. We could always put the black glaze. If you wanted a 2-tone effect, you can do them both.
Or add some of the metallic and give your wood a little shine.
That'd be fun. Yeah. And then I'm just going to go around and I'll just cut the edge so that it all blends. But you guys don't have to watch me do that. We just wanted to hop on and kind of give a quick tutorial so that you know how to use it. So again, my name is Becky at All Aspects. We are a retailer for Wise Owl paint as well as Klingon brushes. And if you have any questions, definitely put them into the comments. We'll post this and share it, and then I'll go back and answer any questions you might have. All right, guys, thanks so much.